Today Truth Detective is over here and I'm going to be giving you a little talk with audio only. And we are going to start with the fact that today in Finlandia it's a snowstorm day. It's not maybe so windy, but it's freaking cold and there's a lot of snow coming down from the skies above. So the winter is really brutal over here. And I have been dealing with some leg pain, but due to that I have been going through my backlog of books. And I have been reading a lot of books, I have done reviews, go check them out. And here I'm doing a little bit of a new approach to recording this video. And that is that I have a Sennheiser MKE 600 on my video camera and I have a profile USB Sennheiser microphone on my computer. And it's one of those funny things about being a YouTuber. You record this much content. It's like exponential to the amount of video that you end up as edited in your publishable work in the end. And maybe next we could be talking about editing and what to leave out and how to be more discerning in what you do when you edit stuff. And let's talk about, for example, writing. In writing you usually are bound to be having more words than you should have. And you could probably cut out half of the words and still get the same message. But editing could also entail in writing that you say the same thing in a completely different way. And that's editing also. That you have to rewrite the whole fucking paragraph because it's just not well said at the first time. You have to say it another time, again, but in a different way, different words, and it will be better, but the message will be same. But you can do that kind of stuff on video, of course. But maybe the setup that I'm going to have is going to make my audio recording at least closer to what writing is capable of doing when you get into the editing phase of the process. And that's going to be due to the two microphone setup. And maybe that's one of the reasons that everything should be kind of matching, you know. If it's too mismatching, you're going to kind of notice that something was inserted after the fact over here. But the funny thing that I feel like with filming is that the cameras can actually be quite mismatching and it doesn't really affect the way that you can kind of enjoy a video. But if the audio is very different, it's going to irk the viewers. And what I'm going for over here is a kind of new idea of using shitty cameras for recording just video and using good microphones to be recording audio and overlaying these on top of each other. And the next subject I'm going to be talking to you over here is public speaking and how to make public speaking more interesting. Let's be starting with the fact that you cannot be sitting on your ass on a computer when you give a public speech. You have to make it flow very good. So we are going to be talking about how to practice for that. And I think that you ought and you maybe should try this, that you record your speech on a couple of microphones and then you go over the parts of the speech as kind of blocks and you try to get the blocks right. Do them kind of like paragraphs in writing and try to say it in a couple of different ways and go over it maybe 10 times each block until you are satisfied. Learn video editing and then edit into one speech. Maybe put it on YouTube or somewhere, you know. If you can do MP3s, maybe you can upload it somewhere else. I have a portfolio page. Here's the link. You're going to check out my speeches there. I'm going to be uploading them as MP3s, probably very easily downloadable also. And the next subject that I have for you in this video is how to make it easier for your customer or your viewer or your listener to navigate your product that you have done with so much work for them. How to make it easy to find the right things. For example, in a book, how to divide up the chapters and how to visualize, how to make it more visual. Maybe you could have photos in those chapters, you know. Maybe you could have black and white photos. You could print them easily, you know, in the printing press. Maybe you could divide up your video so that before every clip, you know, that you do, there's this kind of photo and the word of the subject there. Or maybe you could divide up your audio with some kind of time coding, you know. You click over here and you're gonna get to this part. And the next question that I have for you over here is good enough. What is good enough and how much is good enough? And if you are a very demanding person, what are you losing by being too demanding on your good enough? Well, let's be saying that when you divide things into blocks, it's very much easier to say that this block is good enough. Now we can stop working on that. And we can move on, and we can, so to say, let this thing fly. And it's very, very nice actually to be able to do that, because you gain so much variety in your life, and you gain so much new kind of richness in your life if you are able to do that. Take things to the level of good enough, and maybe have quite high of a standard what is good enough, and then just giving it to the people. This is good enough. Take it. Just take it. It's free. And you gain so much new kind of richness in your life if you are able to do that. Take things to the level of good enough. You know, if you have this basic mentality of dividing things into blocks, working on them, and then saying, this is good enough, do you have to make the other blocks matching to that level of good enough? Or can you actually make them worse? Well, on YouTube, you might think that if you do a video where the first blocks are very good and the later blocks are pretty mediocre, then that's okay, because nobody's going to watch the video anyway. But if you go the extra mile and you do the extra work to make the whole thing matching in good enough, it's going to be more easy and soothing and very nice feeling to the viewer, to the listener, to the consumer, to your customer. And that's the reason why everything should be very matching. And it's going to take your product to the next level. But I'm going to ask you a question. If you have these dips in quality and these, you know, highs and lows, is that better than making kind of a mediocre level of quality and just keeping it through the whole thing? So that's the reason why everything should be very matching. But think about this question next. If you have a product that has these ups and downs, you know, this part of the product is very good, you know, very high quality, but this part of the product is kind of, you know, mediocre. It doesn't really match to the highs of the product or the service or the audio quality or the video quality. It's kind of mismatching. Is that bad, or does it give it more variety? If people are mainly seeking variety, maybe that's just fine. And now that we have come to the end of this video, I just want to say to you one more thing, and that is that I hope that you gain something out of this. I hope that your practices, your endeavors and your businesses will be thriving, and maybe you can apply these ideas to your composing of music, your playing of songs, learning to practice the violin or the guitar, this kind of stuff. Maybe you will become much better in barbering or being a barber owner and cutting people's hair, knowing what to leave out and what to leave in.